request that does the same thing
Oh, you,
and does it more properly.
okay, okay. I was just wondering, like, what these, because like they have their own little org, like the Node Israel guys, and they're, I don't know, like, and it seems like they were doing a ton of work. So yeah,
Ah, well, that's okay.
yeah. Oh, okay. So you've actually done a bunch too. Cool. Okay. I was just curious what that was, and I didn't know. So cool.
Was
Uh,
actually doing any work in this repository or just pushing the pull request to it?
maybe, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna get in contact with them and see if they want to come and work on Node Forward if they're active over there. Um, so anyway, so Alexis, I don't. Yeah, you weren't here in any kind of prior conversation. So basically, one of the things that we're doing is that we're gonna move a lot of the activity around new merges into the Node Forward organization. So Node Forward / Node. And then the only pull request there right now is this pull request. I'll pull up the link for everybody to see. Um, ding, 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 ding. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I don't have this already ready. Um, Essentially, what I tried to do is just codify a lot of the stuff that we've talked about in terms of governance and a contribution policy, and scope it just to this kind of Node Forward repo. So it's sort of clear what we're doing and why it's a little different and why we're working off in this org, basically. Um, Ben had a really good comment already that we should increase the wait time on significant pull requests so that people have even longer to weigh in. So I think that's probably a good change. I'll take that. Does anybody else like have any kind of comments about it or anything like that? It's definitely a much more liberal contribution policy. Essentially, what it says is that anytime somebody makes like a significant contribution, like something that isn't bullshit, like a two-line change or something, if it's significant, they'll just get commit right. But any significant change that they do or anybody does needs to be a pull request anyway and needs to be reviewed. So it's like we're giving commit rights out, but we're also like codifying the process around reviewing. And also, not every contributor is on the TC, and so you're sort of like a contributor for a while, and then you join the TC. But this model, a slightly more liberal version of this model, is what a bunch of Rod's projects have used and a couple others, and it's really increased the amount of contributors that come on board, the people that stick around, the people that get engaged in issues and other pull requests and stuff. So I think it might be a good idea. There's also a code of conduct, and there's also the BCO 1.0 from Linux Project. So does anybody have any comments about it?
Yeah, I'm curious, Michael. Like, what is if everything has?
Oh, you cut out a bit there, man. It started with everything has.
Everything has to be cut out.
Yeah, yeah. Can you like type it and then I'll just say it or something?
He's just lost in thought, man.
Yeah.
Give him a second.
That's a great picture, actually, of him being lost in thought. That's the picture. Hold on. Okay. Well, we'll wait until. Okay, when Bert comes back, we can hear what Bert has to say. Does anybody else have any comments about it?
Well, at first I thought that it's probably too big window, but considering that it will only apply to some changes that could be really controversial and like big, it's probably reasonable after all. Well, yeah. So.
Yeah, one of the lines in the contribution policy says that basically any contributions that are like pull requests that are sitting there and end up being controversial, like they have to be taken to the next TC meeting. So, like actually, like that process won't be used to merge anything controversial. Like that ends up coming back to the TC. It's really just for things that are uncontroversial, but we want to like make sure that the code is good. It's the rest of the policy. Okay, Bert, you're back. What do you have to say?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I've been in 10 meetings and now suddenly it's all broken. Anyway, I was wondering, why do we make someone a contributor if they're not allowed to push anything, but they have to go through a pull request anyway, and they also don't get a TC spot? But it could be that you just answered that, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, eventually they do get a TC spot if they stick around and they contribute long enough, like, they get nominated, right? I mean, the main thing is, like, you know, they can actually end up doing merges, like, if nobody else is around to complete a merge, but we've all decided that it's good. Like say there's a pull request sitting there for a couple days, and, you know, Bird and Fedor and, like, everybody kind of says, like, oh, hey, this is really good, but nobody's merged it yet because we went off for the weekend. Somebody else could merge it and move along. Also, it tells people, like, hey, you're a contributor to this project now, like, you're active. Also, when you add somebody as a contributor, they auto-watch, like, everything, so it really does help engagement. Like, I've known it's kind of a trick or a hack or whatever, but it totally works. And I mean, at the end of the day, they can't really do anything malicious because it's all in Git. We can back out anything that we want, right? And they're not doing releases or anything. And the big thing too is that, you know, and also, like, having the commit bit also means that they can change silly one-line things, like without any kind of review or anything. Like, it says in the policy that, like, non-trivial changes have this process of waiting on them. Trivial changes, like a small documentation fix or a small style fix or something, or like an added test, little things like that aren't a big deal, like, people can just merge.
I think as long as the technical committee ends up being the ones who can, you know, remove that access, there's really very little harm. What you get out of it. So there's two things of this. The first is, yeah, it does increase engagement. The second is it makes it very clear that all of us need to be sending pull requests to do the things we're doing. So, like, and that's just kind of a better model anyway. Any non-trivial changes should really go through a pull request review. That avoids a situation where there was some big change and nobody really knows how we decided on landing it. You know, you at least have something you can go back and point to and track and say who said what about it.
Definitely. Another thing too is that it makes it clear that everybody's a participant, right? Like, if everyone, no matter who you are, has to send a pull request, like, it makes it very clear that, you know, there isn't a dictator or a company or somebody willy-nilly that can just do whatever they want. So.
Right.
Okay, cool. Well, that's
we've been moving to a similar model at with all the repos we have at NPM, actually. Just like everybody sends a pull request, I'm sending pull requests, even if it's just a, you know, anything bigger than like an obvious documentation change. We send a pull request just because it's a convenient way to do reviews. I mean, even if the only answer is, yeah, it looks good, and then you land it, like, you should still be doing a pull request.
Okay, cool. All right, well, one of you who actually has commit rights can land that change to the contribution file. It doesn't sound like it's, like, contentious at all. Hey, there's Ben.
Well, Michael, it's a non-trivial change, so we should just give you commit rights.
Well, it's not a code change though, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, if you want to get technical, I'm technically an owner in the org, so I think I do have push, but, like, I shouldn't, so I won't. But yeah, so Ben, we were just talking about the contribution change. You commented on it and read it earlier. Did you have any other comments other than the comment that you put in the PR? Ben? Shit, we can't hear Ben. Okay. Hopefully Ben can sort out why we can't hear him at some point. Oh, the mic is broken. Shitty. All right, Ben, do you have any other comments that you can just type in text about the one the one pull request that I sent to the repo? And oh, will do. Okay.
I could probably just do, like, typing, like.
Yeah.
Like
that was great. Okay, no comments. Cool. All right. Well, somebody should merge that then. And Isaac, why don't you merge that? I'm assigning that to you. I get to make Isaac do work.
So I'm happy. I think actually Ben's comment about 48 or 72 hours is a good accommodation for weekends.
Yeah, I need to make that change. Sorry. Yeah, don't merge it before I do that.
Yeah, make that change, make a force push, and I'll land it.
Cool. Okay. So that's all said and done. That was all that I really had. Now I was kind of worried that we were going to get out of sync with what was going on in joint/node, but it turns out that since we did that fork, there's only been one commit in a week, which is really concerning. Yeah, I mean, is everybody sort of on board? Is everybody kind of moved over now to Node forward/Node, or is there anything holding us up, like logistically?
I mean, I didn't really realize it was time to do that. But yes, I'm totally on board with that. Should I also now open bugs in that repo instead of join node?
If you want to discuss brand new things, yeah. But if it's like a PR that already exists over in join/node, just discuss it there and then pull in that branch and just merge it if you want to merge it, right?
Well, it's more like today I found a bug in Node 0.10, and so I opened an issue in join node. Do we move that over to Node forward also, or not?
I don't know. Does anybody have concerns or preferences there? Or what do you think?
I think the door is frozen.
Well, I don't know. Well, if we do decide, we should do it all together. So that's only concerns that I might have, because if someone will do it in one repo and another person will do it in another one, we'll only have a lot of problems and no profit. So as far as I remember, so it's quite sad that Trevor is not here. Well, the Trevor said that he wanted to move to the Node forward repository after 0.12 probably. So that was his thought, at least.
Yeah.
Maybe he changed his mind. Yeah, I don't know.
I think more accurately, he said that he wanted to finish his work on 0.12. In terms of like the async listener work, I don't think that he was saying wait until that releases, because nobody knows when it will release. But he wanted to finish up like his obligations. So Isaac just said vote to keep using issues in join/node, which is a good idea. I think that the issue here is that we will be getting pull requests, which also create an issue in the other repo anyway, in the Node forward repo, because that's where when Strong Loop does a sprint or IBM. And I've actually talked to a few other people recently that are hiring or pointing people at Node Core, they're going to point them at Node Forward as well. So we'll end up getting issues and PRs there anyway. I guess honestly, we should just leave it up to the individual contributors. Wherever you guys want to log bugs and do that kind of stuff, that's fine. It's just that we're moving the landing of actual patches over to Node Forward, right?
Yeah, so it sounds like we're basically just saying whatever, bite the bullet, move over, leave stuff behind.
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with that. I was just sort of opting to keep using issues where they are. I think if we already have, if somebody posts a bug and we're debugging it, there's no reason to say, hey, no, I'm only working over at this other bug, making copies of it. We could just keep doing things where they are for the time, as we move over. Probably fine.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing is that eventually I think the issues will move over, hopefully, and so it will be confusing. I'm referring to issue 5. Is it join node issue 5, or is it the other issue 5? So I think a couple months ago we discussed this idea of bringing all the issues over. I think that's a little bit too much work. But what we could at least do is create stubs. So the first issue in Node forward would be 10,001 or something, and then we have there is no ambiguity there.
Yeah. I think I can answer that. So one of the problems with doing the issue stubbing is that we make the fork somewhat unreconcilable with join/node. So we make it a lot harder to merge the stuff back together, which is actually sort of the end goal, right? So it is very much like a hard fork at that point, and we probably wouldn't even preserve like a link back up to join/node. The intermediate fix for this is to use the full URL whenever you mention an issue, regardless of where it is. And Trevor's actually already been doing this for a while. So when Trevor fixes bugs, he refers to the full issue URL over at join/node. So that way we actually can have the two issue repositories and our repositories like preserve the links. And if even in the future we need to go out and stub a bunch of stuff for the old one, we can still preserve the links back to the when it was 1 and 2 and 3 or whatever.
Yeah, okay. I agree with like not wanting to hard fork, and it would be good to be reconcilable. The only thing I'm sort of a bit nervous about is, for example, now we fix an issue in Node forward. Like, do we close the issue and join Node? Like, will we run into more trouble with TJ Fontaine? So that's why I think that like at some point we want to open issues and like also decide that they're closed in the same repo as that we're working.
Well, if he wants to close that issue, he can just merge that fix, right? And that merge message will automatically close that issue. And when we merge something that fixes it in our repo, there will be a message in the other ticket saying that it was fixed over here. So no, I don't think that we do close tickets in the other repo, but there is enough messaging there to sort of figure out what's going on. Yeah, I think Isaac. I think what you're saying, like we post a link saying that it was fixed. I think that already automatically happens. Like if we use the full URL, then like a little message will show up in the timeline that says that.
Yes, you are correct. The only thing is we need to start referring to them with the full, joint/node pound number rather than just pound number.
Right.
And that's fine.
Can we just really...
Sorry, go ahead, Fedor.
Can we just really create like 100,000 of the issues and close them, so all issues in Node forward will be prefixed, and the number will be definitely different from the joint Node repo?
We'd still have the same problem because you're still looking at a flat. So if we reconcile the repos together, so imagine in the future we push both back together again. What ends up happening is now we have these high numbers, our repo, that are still just flatly recognizing that number. And then from there, what we would essentially have to do is like then open a bunch of stub issues in whichever one that we're reconciled with, get up to those, then create new stub issues for all the ones that we just did. And it's actually worse than what we're talking about right now.
So, Michael, I think what Fedor was actually suggesting is not that we stub over everything from joint, but like we create 100,000 issues so that there's no way that there's ever going to be a collision.
Yeah. But then when we reconcile again, we have to create stub issues for all of the ones in between.
Yeah, but we do that in joint node or in whatever node.
And then to recreate the issues that we just did.
Yeah.
That are unreconcilable, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like the problem is that we can't, if we try to flatten the namespace in either repo, we're going to end up with a big problem in the future. So the easiest thing to do really is just to always reference the full URL, whether we're talking about the local repo or everything works.
So, Michael, it's a solvable problem. It's what that gets us to is that, let's say at some point in the future, Joyent says, okay, we're going to like start running Joyent Node under the TC, right? Under the same exact rules as Node Forward. At that point, what we can do if we want to fold the two repos together is create, 80,000 some odd stub issues to go between the intervening space, and then copies of all of the issues that we've created after those 100,000. It's definitely doable. The question is if it's even necessary, because if we just always refer to it as a full URL, then it's fine. Or not even the full URL, but with the name in there as well. Then it's fine, and we don't even need to create any stub issues or do anything clever. So we're agreeing here. I'm just pointing out that Fedora solution Fedora suggestion does present us with a solvable problem. There's not going to be like conflicts, but I don't think it's a problem we actually need to solve.
Yeah, I'm fine with prefixing it with a full URL, but yeah, it's just a bit less convenient. And
yeah, it doesn't have to be the full URL. Like, you don't need https://github.com, like any of that.
Well,
that's all extraneous.
Yeah, I guess life will just suck for a while. I mean, like either way, it's inconvenient. So whatever. I'm okay with not creating stuff issues.
That's sort of the fundamental nature of life, is that it sort of sucks. So we're not gonna fix that. People have been trying forever.
Well, the thing is that we will need
That's what Node is for.
Well, the thing is that we will need to ask people to prefix their, the issue number and commits that they're contributing to Node. So it's probably not a big deal for the TC itself, but this way we will need to always change the commit message that people are posting.
Yeah, certainly for anything referring to anything in Node Forward. But otherwise, no, it's fine. I guess. So everything going into Node Forward and everything that refers to Node Forward has to have the full prefix. But anything that you land in Joyent Node can just be what it is. That's totally fine.
Also, another thing that I thought about the other day, and I don't know how possible this is, but wouldn't it be possible to create a new local Git repo and then alter all of the old commit messages to be full URLs anyway if we ever did have to hard fork? So that would get us out of doing all prefixing. But I don't know how possible.
That's a very hard fork, Michael. That's like you can never pull these changes because they will never land cleanly.
Yeah.
Yeah, rebasing from 2009. That's what that is.
Well, I mean, do the commit messages actually alter the hash though?
Yes.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fucking terrible. Never mind.
And the commit messages alter the hash of everything downstream in the tree forever. So
Right. Okay.
every rebase has to reapply 10,000 commits.
Okay. Yeah, we won't do that. That's a bad idea.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's why I was talking about 100,000 of issues. So whenever anyone from Joint Node or from Node Forward would like to pull some changes from other side, they will still have a correct link to the issue. Well,
yeah, but
Oh.
sort of.
But we could just use the full prefix, and if we ever, anytime we move any of these repos to any other location, GitHub will redirect the browsers properly. So we already have a solution. What's the next thing?
Okay.
Okay, that's all that I've got right now, at least. Everybody's going to start working over here. There's a bunch of other people that are actually really excited to come over from different companies and stuff. So we'll start seeing a bunch of new activity around that repo pretty soon. Yay!
Hooray!
Hooray!
So when are you going to make a public announcement?
So
we don't really want to cause a bunch of drama or a big scene about it. What we really want to do is just prove out that this contribution model where the contributors have more control over the project works, and that we have more activity and more contributors, and we can solve some of the other kind of harder problems, and then that becomes the model that we can hopefully now then reconcile with Joyent rather than going off and doing releases that are actually like a hard fork. But also, if it becomes unreconcilable, we haven't stopped building stuff and stopped moving the project forward. So, and can't even do releases. So.
all right. So since you are out of agenda, I understand that Scott, the CEO of Joyent, is forming some sort of advisory board around. And the other question is, did Jim Zemlin actually create a foundation for us and all that stuff, or is it still sort of waiting for other things to happen?
So Scott asked that we don't make public some of the stuff about the advisory board quite yet. I mean, they're going to make it public and they're going to make an announcement, but we shouldn't like preempt them. So I can.
And for that reason, let's not discuss it too much on this call because
we want it to be public. Yeah. So
yeah, this call should be only things that can be discussed public for the time being. So very soon there will be more news, very loud about that.
Yeah. And I can just stop the broadcast if we're out of stuff that we want to be public, and then we can talk about it now as well. Okay.
All right. I'm fine with that.
Okay, I'm going to stop the broadcast.